How's everybody doing? It's Joe here, and today I'm going to be going over one of the most infamous decks in the standard format, and that is Night March. Now, there's plenty of different ways you can play Night March. It's become quite the adaptable deck to whatever meta you're in, and depending just on the person who's playing it, there's a lot of personal preference that actually rides on these lists. You know, the skeleton list has gotten a lot smaller. There's definitely much fewer cards that are mandatory in the builds now, and quite a lot of it's just become really different. The deck is changing quite a bit depending on who's playing it and where they're playing it. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of different ways that you can actually play Night March in this video, and my own personal preference as how I play it. Now, I'm probably going to go on for quite a bit because I do want to talk a bit about all the things I want to discuss. There's quite a lot I want to get down. So if you're not into that, and if you just want to see me play some games, that's cool. I'm going to throw a link in the description. That'll be timestamp in the description to where the games start. There will be an annotation on screen now for when the game starts, so you can go ahead, click that if you want. I do encourage you, once again, to stick around, listen to me explain my stuff, because it is pretty important if you want to know the in-depth mechanics of this deck. It isn't just play 3 Battle Compressor, declare Night March, win the game, as much as people want to believe it is. So I do encourage you to stick around, but if you don't feel like it, go ahead and click those buttons there. So anyway, Night March. I don't really need to introduce Joltik, Pumpkaboo, Lampent. We all know what these guys do. Night March. This attack does buttloads of damage. Alright, so we run 4 of each of those. That's a no-brainer. Now, I am actually running a 1-1 line of Vespiquen with it. Now, there's plenty of different things you can play with Night March. The biggest one that I'm sure you're all screaming at your screens is Mew, Mew, where's Mew? At the moment, I think Vespiquen is a preferable card to play over the Mew. There's also a few other things you can play instead of Mew and Vespiquen entirely. I will go into all this at the end of the video, so you can customize your deck depending on how you feel like playing it. But anyway, Vespiquen is a grass type, and this is the biggest advantage it has. It means we hit Seismitoad for weakness, which is nice against Fury Belted Seismitoads, which can be an issue in Straight Toad, and in things like Aqua Box. These cause problems for Night March. Vespiquen gets around that. Cool. We auto-win against Wailord. Okay, that's great too, if anyone's still playing that. But one of the biggest reasons now, actually, that I want to run the Vespiquen is because a lot of the Greninja players, to adapt to Aqua Box, have actually started running Hard Charm in their lists to make it harder for Articuno to knock them out. But Hard Charm has a few sort of knock-on benefits, and it makes it harder to knock out a Greninja Break in one hit with things like a Joltik, because now effectively it's got 190 HP, and we're going to have to commit quite a lot to hit that number. Vespiquen makes that so much easier. On top of that, it has 90 HP without any Fury Belts or anything like that, so you cannot kill it in just one Giant Water Shuriken. It's a really nice option to have in the deck for that. The extra HP also kind of helps out against Trevenant a bit, because it means Silent Fear takes a bit longer to take care of it. A few other things that this thing does. You can Intelligence Gathering out of an N to 1. Yay! I don't think that'll ever come up. Please don't do that. Free Retreat is absolutely perfect, though. We do love seeing that. So anyway, I think Vespiquen's a very nice partner for the deck, and I think it's the partner that makes the most sense at the moment. So this is the one that I would definitely be leaning towards. Just a 1-1 line is fine. You can get it up perfectly fine with time puzzles, town map, things like this. So this is what I would be recommending to you guys to use. We're also going to run 3 copies of Shaymin EX. A lot of decks have going up to 4 as a result of End coming back. They don't want to get End into 1. And if they do, they want to have a Force Shaymin, so it's much easier to draw out of the End to 1. Personally, I really do like this idea. As much as I don't like relying on Shaymin or starting with Shaymin, I think it makes a lot of sense to counter the End to 1s. And I think either a Fourth Shaymin or a Fourth Sycamore could kind of circumvent that problem. But I really don't think I have the room in my list for it. You can kind of play around End to 1s as well by killing EX Pokemon like Shaymin itself. Which means you take 2 prizes per turn, which means you only ever get N to 2, as opposed to getting N to 1, and it's a little bit better that way. You can also just hold off on playing the Shaymins until your opponent ends you, which is possible. I don't think people need to be as aggressive with Night March as they are, which might sound like sacrilege saying that, but you know, the deck isn't all about hitting 180 damage turn 1. There's a lot more to it than that, and sometimes you don't need to hit 180 damage turn 1. Running 4 copies of it as well is useful against turn 1 item lock decks, because it means you can dig through your deck quicker before your items get shut off. But ultimately, no, I think 3 is fine, and I think we can still play around N to 1 with just the 3 copies in. Worth knowing that Sky Return is a very nice attack in the mirror match. We can kill Joltiks with this, and if you are playing the mirror match, you either want to be using Fury Belted Joltiks, you either want to be using Vespiquen, but most of the time you'll probably be attacking with Pumpkaboo, just to deny your opponent the option to use Sky Return for 30. because that can be great because it also conserves your Double Colourless energy as well as removing the Shaymin from your board entirely. So 3 copies of that guy. 3 is the minimum you can go to. Do not cut this to 2, please. Alright, so onto the supporters. We're going to be running 1 AZ. Yeah, there he is. So AZ is really cool because it lets us pick up our Shaymins off our board, which, like I was just saying in the mirror match, is super important. And Night March is a really huge deck. It always is. So the mirror match is definitely something you want to be conscious of. You can't go into a tournament not knowing how to play the mirror at all. And in forcing your opponent to take 6 prizes, you put yourself at a massive advantage, and AZ is great at removing those Shaymins. Also, if you just start with something you don't want to start with, if you get paralyzed from a bubble or something like that, which, yes, it can happen, AZ is really good in a few weird situations like that. It's an essential card in the deck, honestly, and it kind of just helps consistency too, because, you know, if you already have a Shaymin on the board, it can be kind of a Bianca, where you just draw up to 6 cards in your hand. So yeah, I like AZ in this deck a lot. I don't think I'd cut it. I think running AZ in conjunction with 1 Floatstone gives the deck really good switching options. We are running 1 Hex Maniac, and I would kind of like to cut this because nobody's playing Bats, but unfortunately a lot of people are playing Greninja, so we can't really cut this card at all. This is our one way that we win Greninja. You cannot beat Greninja without playing Hex Maniac. I don't think that's even possible. Because you can't really end them or into a low hand size because they'll always have the upper hand in prizes, or the backhand in prizes, whatever way you want to look at it. So we really need to, we're good at chaining Hex Maniac to shut off their abilities, force them to only take 1 KO per turn, and that's really what we want to be using Hex Maniac for. That's its biggest use. You know, it comes up in other games just to deny our opponents some options, but the big reason it's here is for Greninja, and it does its job perfectly well. 1 copy of Lysandre, and I am running Lysandre in conjunction with 2 catchers. I'll go on to the catchers in a minute, but Lysandre is just, well, yeah. Most of the time you're going to be declaring Lysandre for Shaymin, as that's a big target that this deck likes to pick off, but, you know. You can go up to 2 if you cut the catchers. I like that a lot, but I think it's cool that you can definitely get away with 1 and still use it quite a lot. It's one of the big strengths of Night March. 1 copy of N. One of the only 2 cards from Fates Collide that I've actually got in here. N is great because it puts your opponent at a low hand size, which makes them more likely to play Shaymin, which, hey, cool, there's some targets for us to kill. And that's just a big thing that this deck does. You know, in previous formats, like before Fates Collide came out, this was a judge. And the idea with the judge is if you did it like turn 1 or something, your opponent would then be more likely to play Shaymin as a result because you'd limit their options. That was actually quite good in the mirror match and against things like Manectric Bats. And you can do the same thing, but instead of doing it early game, you do it mid and late game when your opponent has actually taken some prizes. But in early game, it counts as basically a fantastic draw support card that you can use. You don't have to Sycamore away, Time Puzzles, VS Seekers, Double Colourless Energy, things like that. You can access N instead and just get them back into your deck for later. So yeah, 1N is a very welcome addition to the deck. 3 copies of Professor Sycamore. I really wish it could be 4. I do not have the room for 4, unfortunately. Yeah, if I cut the catchers, I could put a 4th in, but the catchers are fantastic. So no, for now it's 3 Sycamore, and again, going up to 4 would make sense to get out of N to 1s, but like I said, I think we can just try and play it around that anyway. If it really does become a problem, though, I will have to look at the list again and try and add in an extra Sycamore and extra Shaymin. So, Sycamore, discard your hand, draw 7 cards. We all know what he does. I know a lot of builds cut down to 2 Sycamore. I do not like this at all. I am not a fan of that. But this is all about, you know, having a personal preference as to how to play the deck. Yeah, it's just a fantastic draw card. It discards cards like Night Marchers that we don't want. It thins out our deck, draws a ton of cards. I don't know why I would want to... I want to run as many copies of this guy as I can, basically. It's just too good to not run in high counts. Final supporters can be 1 Teammates. Teammates is an excellent card because all of your Pokemon have tiny amounts of HP, so you get knocked out a lot. And hey, that means Teammates is basically always online from turn 2 onwards. Teammates is especially good in the mirror match, in matches against things like Vespiquen Vileplume, in matches against things like Vespiquen Zoroark, Vespiquen Raichu, other non-EX decks that try and force you to play your Shaymins or try and sort of win prize traits that way. Teammates is fantastic, even against YZG if they're a good player. Teammates is fantastic because it means you can search out for the cards you need without having to play Shaymin to burn through your resources. One thing I actually do quite a lot in mirror matches is I will play Teammates and search out a VS Seeker and a Double Colourless. That way next turn I can just VS Seeker for Teammates and search out a VS Seeker and a Double Colourless and just sort of keep chaining it that way. And that's actually a really good way to sort of keep taking knockouts without burning through all of your cards. So I really, really like teammates in the deck. You know, in really early days, I think people didn't play it because turn 1 it's a dead card, and it will stop you from speeding through for the turn 1 180. But now I think we've all realized that it's too important of a card to include for a reason like that. So anyway, moving on to the item cards. 4 Battle Compressor, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Vespiquen, 4 Trainer's Mail, 4 Puzzle at a Time. Do I need to explain any of those? These are all cards you should be running in Night March no matter what kind of build you're going for. Absolutely essential stuff. Especially the Time Puzzle. Even if you're running like a Bronzong variant of this, which I don't think you should be, you still want the Time Puzzles. Because not only do they get back Double Colourless energy, they get back, you know, the most random array of things like supporters, extra Night Marches you may need, Fury Belt that you might want to attach Floatstone or something like that. They might even get back a catcher, which is something I do quite a lot. And I am going on about these catchers. I should talk about them now. So here they are, Pokemon Catcher. If you forgot what it does, it's a Lysandre and a coin flip. This is an amazing card because it lets you win games that you really shouldn't be able to win. Basically, it's ridiculous what this thing can pull off. Because it means that you don't need to necessarily Lysandre to get into, to be able to kill your opponent's EX Pokemon. So, yeah, no, a lot of people bench Shaymin, okay? And one thing that I like to focus with this deck is just kill Shaymin, kill Shaymin, kill Shaymin. Oh, look, we won. It's a big, you know, it's something this deck can do that a lot of other decks don't do anywhere near as well. Like I was saying kind of with Omastar Aerodactyl in a previous video, that Omastar's ability let you basically play Sycamore and still get a Lysandre effect in the same turn. It was super dangerous like that. Catcher essentially is the same thing. It basically means we can access our Time Puzzles, access our Double Colourless energy, all that kind of stuff with things like Sycamore and teammates. It means we're not forced to commit our supporter for the turn when we might still need to dig for our resources with other stuff. So that's why Catcher's in here. It's a really nice card, and I hope I get to show it off in the games. Of course, these are 2 slots that you could put Acro Bike in, and this is a big debate that I know a lot of people will disagree with me on. A lot of people will agree with me on too, so people seem kind of split. I think it's like 60-40, 60 in the Acro Bike camp. But I really do not like playing Acro Bike in this deck. Yes, it is great at digging, and if you want to keep drawing cards, and if you're worried about things like Vespiquen, Vileplume, or Trevenant, Acro Bike is good, because if you go first, also Seismitoad, because if you go first, you can basically play Acro Bike, draw through all your resources turn 1, play down all your item cards, and nothing will be dead in your deck, or very little will be dead in your deck by the time you do get locked out of your items. Personally, I don't think this is a good enough reason to run Acro Bike. I think it puts you in situations you don't want to be put in. Sometimes you'll Acro Bike away DCE, and that hurts, but it's not just that. Sometimes you'll Acro Bike away a Time Puzzle, or a VS Seeker, or, you know, even a Floatstone, or one of your Dimension Valley, or a Night Marcher that you didn't expect. Things like, or even a Shaymin, things like that can just hurt you. Especially when you're running a 1-1 Vespiquen line, you kind of want to keep them in the deck. As much as you can Time Puzzle them back, you don't necessarily want to. So, no, I'm thoroughly against playing Acro Bike in the deck. I don't think it's necessary at all. But, you know, agree to disagree, whatever. Plenty of people have seen a lot of success with Acro Bike. People have seen a lot of success without it. So, no one's right or wrong, except me. I'm right. But moving on to Startling Megaphone. Kind of flip-flopping between this and Xerosic. I like that Xerosic is accessible with things other than Time Puzzle, but I like that Megaphone doesn't take up my supporter for the turn. We kind of need to run one because otherwise Fury Belt can be a little bit of an issue. Focus Sash as well if anyone's doing that. So yeah, we need some kind of tool discard card. I think that's important. I think Megaphone does a decent job, but you could probably experiment switching this with Xerosic. Ideally, I would like to run both, but I just don't know where I would fit the room in. So for now, it's Megaphone. 1 Target Whistle. This is a super important card in the deck. It basically lets us kill a Shaymin. If your opponent benches a Shaymin, it essentially means they're not giving you 2 prizes, they're giving you 4 prizes because you kill that Shaymin and you Target Whistle it back and you kill it again. And yeah. And then you can double Time Puzzle for the Target Whistle and do it all over again. And it's crazy what you can pull off with just 1 copy of Target Whistle. It's an essential card in the deck for just that reason. If that's all you do with it, that's cool. Yeah. So, what else we got here? 1 Town Map. Town Map is a pretty essential card as well. Just because the deck is so reliant on Double Colourless energy, so reliant on Puzzle of Time, VS Seekers, all these things, you know, resource management is a huge part of playing Night March. And you need to know exactly what resources you're going to get and when. And if one of your Double Colourless or VS Seekers or something is prized, you need to know what it is, where it is, and you need to be able to access it immediately. And Town Map lets us do that. It's a fantastic card. So yeah, that covers it for all the items. We'll move on to stadiums and tools. And we're running 3 copies of Dimension Valley. We all know why this is here. It's so Pumpkaboo can attack with Night March. But the 3 count is something that I think people have been kind of messing with. You know, people running Mew have sometimes gone up to 4 and sort of taken the, put a lot of focus on the Mew and sort of put a lot of pressure on themselves to make the Mew do it. But then they leave themselves more weak to Hex Maniac and things like this. Having 3, I think, is a good count. I wouldn't go any lower than this. I've seen some lists with the heavier lines of Vespiquen that sort of cut this to 2 and just focus on the Vespiquens and Joltiks. I think that's cool too, but I think this is the build I am more comfortable with playing. I like attacking with Pumpkaboo, like I said, because especially in things like the mirror match, you deny if you're attacking with Joltik, you now give your opponent that option to Sky Return for the knockout. Whereas with Dimension Valley, we essentially allow ourselves to attack with Pumpkaboo, and then our opponent can't Sky Return for the knockout. It's very simple, but it's very effective. You know, and then you could argue that in the mirror doesn't matter because someone's going to play it, but which it is kind of debatable, I guess, in that aspect. But I don't think it's worth cutting down to 1 just for the mirror match, because against other things like Greninja, where you want to be attacking with Pumpkaboo as well, you want to make sure that you always have access to that. And they run high counts of their own stadium on top of like some lists running Delinquent. So we always want to make sure that we have a Dimension Valley into play, because, the 30 extra HP does make a difference. 1 Bent Spoon. This is something I'm still kind of playing around with. I really like it at times. Sometimes I wish it was an extra Fury Belt. Sometimes I wish the Fury Belt was an extra Bent Spoon. The point of Bent Spoon is to get around Promo Jirachi, especially because we're not running Mew. I think this works really well. So essentially, Promo Jirachi needs to discard an energy for its effect to take place, but Bent Spoon prevents Jirachi from discarding our energy. So essentially, we become immune to Promo Jirachi, and that's obviously a really big weakness that the deck can now overcome. So Bent Spoon's pretty good in that aspect. We can slap it on any of our attackers and do that with it. 1 Fighting Fury Belt. I'm kind of still on the fence about Fury Belt, which sounds weird to say, but I think 1 copy is fine. I don't honestly think I would increase that. I think having the 1-1 split between Fury Belt and Bent Spoon does kind of work, because they're both useful in different situations. But Fury Belt is good because you get 40 extra HP. And hey, look, 70 HP is a lot better than 30. It puts you out of range of Sky Returns. It puts you out of range of Oblivion Wing of Eltal. There's a few things Fury Belts can do, especially in the Trevenant matchup. It can buy you a few turns, because if you get this down, your Joltik's not going to die, or Pumpkaboos, in fact, aren't going to die super early from Silent Fear. So yeah, Fighting Fury Belt does have its great uses there. Also, the 10 extra damage pushes you into odd number range, so against 170 HP EXs, you'll need 1 less Night Marcher in the discard pile to hit the 170. Also good against just anything with an odd number, you need 1 less Night Marcher in the discard pile to hit it, so that's kind of a nice math fixer. Also on the note of Trevenant, Bent Spoon does fix this as well. Silent Fear will do nothing to you if you have a Bent Spoon attached. Again, attaching things under Trevenant lock is a bit difficult, but it's not like Vespiquen Vileplume. You can Lysandre around the Trevenant and then play your items, and you will be fine. Finally, for tools, we're just running the 1 Floatstone. It's nice to have something with Free Retreat, and while Vespiquen does that, we don't always want to rely on getting it up. So yeah, especially if we start Shaymin or something, Floatstone's a super nice asset to have. And for energy, of course, it's just 4 copies of Double Colourless energy. Now, on to a few other things that you can run with this deck. I am running the 1-1 Vespiquen line, but you can kind of change what you run with this depending on your meta, depending on what you like, and of course, the first big one is Mew. So of course, Mew can basically just use the attack of all your basic Pokemon, and our basic Pokemon are Night Marchers, so Mew is like a 13th or 14th, depending on how many you run. I like that it has Free Retreat. The Free Retreat is fantastic with it. 50 HP is kind of low, but it's not a huge issue for the deck, since we're already working with things with even lower HP than that. It is nice because you don't actually get KO'd by Oblivion Wing of Eltal. You force them to have things like Muscle Band and Reverse Valley. Well, no, just Muscle Band, or Fighting Fury Belt Reverse Valley, or something like that. It is ability reliant, which makes you now weaker to Hex Maniac, but of course you can Free Retreat into something, into just a regular Night Marcher and attack with that instead. So yeah, there's a few really nice reasons to have Mew, and honestly, I think if I was making a neutral Night March build that wasn't teching for different matchups, I think Mew would definitely be something I would include. But with Water Box being so big, with Greninja being so big, I think that Vespiquen makes a lot more sense at the moment. You know, Mew isn't actually going to help you out against Greninja. So, yeah, I think the Vespiquen is a far better choice just for the metagame at the moment. One other thing that I have seen a couple of lists running, yeah, here it is going old school with Milotic. Just running a 1-1 line of this in addition to time puzzles is kind of cool. It gives, if you don't think the time puzzles are enough, I have seen a few people do this and I've tried it out myself a bit, give yourself this ridiculous amount of access to your discard pile. Yeah, you know, back in the day before time puzzles came out, of course, we all ran 2-2 lines of Milotic and it was fantastic, but you can run this in addition to the time puzzles and have a really crazy build. I don't think it's necessary, and again, starting Feebas is just the worst feeling in the world. It's a really pathetic Pokemon, but yeah, I think it's a really cool idea, and if you're trying Night March a bit for fun or you just want to experiment with different options, give the Milotic a shot. It's kind of cool. Just a 1-1 line, it's fine. One other... God, it's really slow today. Anyway, one other 1-1 line that I have not seen anybody try out, but something that I've been playing around with, is my boy, Zeb Striker. This is cool as hell, okay? I love this. So, Zeb Striker, stage 1, just a 1-1 line again, but has this ability Zap Zone. Damage from the attacks of your lightning Pokemon aren't affected by any effects on your opponent's active. What this, of course, Joltik's a lightning Pokemon, and what this now means is that Joltik can hit through Promo Jirachi, it can hit through Aegis/EX, it hits through Jolteon EX. You overcome things, just some weird niche things that the deck otherwise couldn't overcome, and those are some pretty cool qualities to have. But also, in addition to that, the attack Crashing Bolt is really good. In the mirror match, you now kill Joltix, you kill Mew, you kill Pumpkaboo, even if it has a Fury Belt, because Pumpkaboo also has a fighting resistance, and of course, you Oko Shaymins. So yeah, Zeb Striker is fantastic in the mirror match because it's like an extra attacker that you don't even need to get Night March in the discard pile for. So I really like it for that. One other thing it's good against is Trevenant, because of course Trevenant has a fighting resistance and 110 HP. And Zeb Striker, funnily enough, is able to knock out Trevenant in one hit. Also, this 100 HP marker means it's actually pretty difficult for Trevenant to knock it out because you actually need 4 Silent Fears to do it. So it's a little bit bulkier than, you know, a lot of the other things going around in a Night March deck. So there's a few kind of quirky things that Zeb Striker helps out with. I think it's a really fun addition. Ultimately, I think it's outclassed by Vespiquen. I hate to admit it, but this is definitely a fun little option that I tried out quite a bit and I really liked it. So yeah, I think those are the main options for Night March. Of course, the other one is Acro Bike, which I've already said that I'm not a fan of. But hey, if you were putting an Acro Bike, personally I'd only put in the 2. I'd probably take out the catchers for it. I think this is the slot that you cut. Other options for the deck, Xerosic is fantastic. Like I was saying with the Megaphone, is a very flexible supporter card. I've run it in the past. If you're worried about Giratina Seismitoad, run 1 Enhanced Armor and 1 Xerosic, and you can basically turn yourself into this crazy disruption deck that's able to get rid of so many special energy at once. Because, you know, you can play Enhanced Armor and then double Time Puzzle for the same Enhanced Armor, and plays like that can just flip the game completely on its head. So yeah, this has been my Night March deck. It's super dependent on the meta you're playing in. But speaking of metas you're playing Night March in, one quick piece of news that I wanted to cover at the end of this was actually the announcement that Steam Siege will be legal for the World Championships. Which is really cool because it seems like it's being given a few things that help Night March. Now, first of all, the biggest question is Karen going to be in Steam Siege? And if it is, that kind of makes Night March a difficult play to call because, I mean, this is all speculation at the moment, of course. It's all theory. Nobody knows anything concrete about this. But if Karen is in Steam Siege, it basically means that playing Night March is super risky because, you know, it's a 1-card counter that you can put into anything, and it makes it difficult. However, this morning, we got news of a new item card that was coming in the set. This item card, not supporter, item card, lets you shuffle in 2 special energy from your discard pile into your deck. Holy dear God, that is crazy. I think, actually, it's so crazy, it might be enough to make Night March playable, even with Karen in format. My reasoning behind this is that you can now reshuffle in your double colorless energy with this item card, yeah? So that means that you can save your double time puzzles for Battle Compressor. And you can then Battle Compressor away all your Night March Pokemon again. And then you can start hitting big numbers again, even after you get Karen'd. And of course, none of what I just described even requires you to play a supporter, which is super, super powerful. That's how broken this item card is, I feel, anyway. Of course, you could argue that, okay, cool, then next turn they'll just play another Karen. But like I said about Night March picking off Shaymin, it's a really easy thing for the deck to do. And guess what? You only need 3 Night March in the discard pile to kill a Shaymin. So even if you have a super explosive turn 1, you kill something, that's cool. You can spend the next 2 turns just killing Shaymins with Targa Whistle or something like that if you really wanted to. Of course your opponent can play around this in numerous ways, but think about it. If they're playing Karen, they're not playing Hex Maniac to stop you drawing into your resources. They're not playing N to put you with a low hand size. So you can really control what's in your hand before you get Karen'd. So, I don't know. This was just a few things that I was thinking off the top of my head when I saw these cards being announced. And I saw the guy in the Japanese commercial switch to Night March and finally win a game. So yeah, that's the Pokemon Company giving you a big hint if ever you want one. So anyway, yeah. That is Night March. That is a very 26-minute and 50-second overview of Night March. I probably went into way too much detail, but whatever. I hope I gave everyone a big, good overview of what this deck is like. But the more in-depth mechanics that kind of go on with Night March. Is it top tier? Hell yeah. Is it best deck in format? It probably is. I mean, as good and all as Greninja is, I still think this thing can beat just anything if you play it right. The only, like, this particular list, the only thing it would lose to is Totina, but like nobody's playing Totina. And if you wanted a Night March list that beat Totina, you can make one. I think it's just incredible what this deck is capable of, and I'm a big fan of it, which is going to make me sound like the worst person in the world. But whatever. We're going to move on to some games now, so I'll see you in a minute. And we found ourselves a game against Home Brewed. And I'm not very good at reading these symbols, but I'm guessing we've got a mirror match on our hands, which is good because I like the mirror match. I think I'm pretty good at playing it, so this should be a fun game. He's calling the coin flip, and I think a lot of people want to go second in the mirror match. This isn't always... Yeah, I'm going to go first here. This isn't always necessarily a good idea. I think if you go first and keep your board looking pretty good, it actually doesn't matter if you go first or second. Just in case he's not playing the mirror either, I should probably start. But, yeah, no, I mean, sometimes it is a nice option to go second in the mirror. Kind of depends on how you're feeling, but let's see, I think what I want to get here... Yeah, and he knows. Okay, so it sucks that I'd have to get rid of 2 VS Seekers, so I think I'm going to get rid of the N and 2 Lampent. Yeah, I think that's what we do here. So I'm going to get rid of Lampent, and where's N? There he is, yep. Yeah, I definitely don't want to be getting rid of all my VS Seekers right away. We'll play these trainer males, try to get more battle compressors in. Town map could be nice. Ooh, do I want town map or Batcom right now? I really should have checked my prizes there. God damn it. I'm thinking battle compressor would be nice, but town map is arguably more important right now. It's not important like right off the bat, so I think I'll leave it and I'll take battle compressor instead. I think I can leave town map for just a little bit longer. Alright, now wait until I find that 3 of my double colourless are prized or something like that. Hey, only one of them's prized. That's okay. Yeah, we'll get rid of the other Lampent. Where is he? There he is. I'm going to get rid of a Sycamore here as well, just so I have one in the discard pile. And Teammates is actually super useful in the mirror match, and we don't need to get a ton of Pokemon in the discard pile, so I think I'm going to go ahead and discard that. Wait, it's prized, isn't it? God damn it. Okay, maybe a Joltik then. God, we've got a lot of Pumpkaboos prized as well. Oh no, wait, there's 3 there. Okay, cool. Yeah, Joltik's something we want to get rid of in the mirror match too. Like I said, attacking with Pumpkaboo is far more preferable. So we'll just go for another Trainer's Mail. And, well, hey, we can just take the town map here. So that's handy. Not sure I want to slap this Fury Bell down right now. Yep. Okay, that's fine. Do I want to slap this Fury Belt down right now? I'm not quite sure. It might make it more difficult for him to take a knockout. I think I'd rather save it for later, though. Yeah, I'm going to save it for later. I'd rather put it on a Joltik or something to stop a Sky Return play. Well, there's an argument for that. It kind of sucks because it looks like we're going to have to Ultra Ball for Shaymin here, and I don't like doing that. Yeah, god damn it. We're going to have to get rid of Fury Belt. And probably Battle Compressor. Alright. And then I'm going to grab a Shaymin. I wanted to leave the Ultra Ball in my hand because I actually do need something on my bench that isn't Shaymin next turn. If he's not running catchers, benching a Shaymin right here shouldn't be a huge problem. But, yeah. Wait, no, I definitely don't want to play that Dimension Valley. I don't want to give him the option. So yeah, I'm going to Shaymin Sky Return. Not Sky Return, Setup. Okay, and cool, we get this. Not a whole lot of options in our hand, but we do have Ultra Ball for another Shaymin if we absolutely need it. I think I'm going to hold here. Yeah, and call it the turn. Sucks that we had to bench that Shaymin. I did need something else on the bench, and I needed a way to draw cards. And I think if you are going to bench Shaymin, doing it super early is really the way to go. So he's going to Transmail for Fury Belt. And he's going to put that on the active. He really should have put that on the Joltik. Because now I've got a way to get my Shaymin off the board. Is that an N he got rid of? No, it was Tomatoes, which is my colloquial name for teammates. But I should probably call it teammates because otherwise you guys are going to have no idea what I'm on about. So, he's going to play another Battle Compressor. Yeah, getting rid of the teammates early on is a great idea in this matchup. Gets rid of Lysandre. Jolt. Oh, dear God. Hey, he's going to Sycamore. That's okay. Phew. Was very worried he had Lysandre DCE in hand there. That would have been bad. Yeah, we are going to get knocked out this turn if he hits the Valley. Trainer's Mail. He's going to dig for it. Oh, dear God, he found it. Yeah, there was the argument for me playing Valley there, but I do want to make this as hard for him to take the knockout as possible. I think I'd prefer to do that. So and he's just going to Night March for the knockout. I think I'm going to promote Shaymin because I have Floatstone in hand. VS Seeker. Ooh, this could be interesting. If I had AZ, this would be cool because I could play Shaymin. Get another AZ. Get another Shaymin on the board. AZ up that Shaymin. Yeah, a lot of things to think about here. I would like to get rid of the Shaymin off the board right now. Or Lysandre up the Joltik. Those are two things I'm going to be aiming to do. Instead, I think I just have to leave it here, unfortunately. Ultra Ball away, Dimension Valley, and we can Ultra Ball away the Target Whistle. We can Time Puzzle it back, so I don't mind getting rid of this thing. Yeah, I'm going to grab out another Pumpkaboo. Attach to Shaymin. And Sycamore for the high five. I really am paranoid about leaving these things on the board, especially because he already put a Lysandre in his discard pile. So it makes it much more difficult for us. Oh, dear God, that's not very nice. We do have the AZ in hand, though, so if we can just hold out for one more turn, we might be okay. I think, worried, is he playing N? He is playing N, right? He hasn't got it in the discard pile. He has the Xerasig in the discard pile, so it's a good thing I got the extra Pumpkaboo on the board. I am tempted just to Ultra Ball away these two. How many Night Marches have I got? 1, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Yeah, he kills this, then I'll be killing Shaymins. That's fine. So I'm going to Ultra Ball away both of these and just get another Pumpkaboo down. The reason for this is in case I get End, I would like to get them out of my board. So there we go. And unless he's running Delinquent, we won't get punished for this, and even if he is, then we can Sky Return KO. So yeah, let's just Night March for the knockout. And let's see, I'm probably going to be playing AZ next turn, so I think that means I want to take the Double Colourless to stop me having to dig for things. Yep. This way, even if he does kill the Shaymin this turn, I can still take a knockout myself, and then pick up the teammates from that prize, saving me having to play the Shaymin to dig any further. So, pray to God that he doesn't actually Lysandre this thing up, and we should be okay. Oh, he's put one out himself. That's good for us. That's really good for us. Only Shaymins for 2. Wow, he must be struggling to find this DCE. Get the Floatstone down onto Shaymin. And he's going to Sycamore. That's what we want to see. He gets rid of 2 time puzzles, though. No, it was just the 1 time puzzle. Yeah, he really did have to dig for that, and he did the right thing and not Shaymin for 1, because obviously it's not going to get you very far. He does hit his Double Colourless. Thankfully our Shaymin's safe for another turn, and we can get it off the board with AZ, so this is all working out very nicely. And he takes Lampent, so he's obviously got some kind of like discard card in his hand. So, on to our turn. Would love to hit Lysandre here. Is it worth me digging to try and find Lysandre? Probably not. Yeah, I want to make my board as... I want to make my board super super hard for him to do anything with. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to retreat into Pumpkaboo. And I think we're going to AZ up Shaymin. We can take teammates off of these prize cards. Yeah, we can take teammates off these prize cards, which guarantees me to find another Double Colourless energy next turn. There's only 1 in the discard pile now, as far as I'm aware. Yep. I could single puzzle a time here to control what I top deck as well. That might be a nice option. And to be honest, I think I'm going to do it. No, because then I can teammates for a time puzzle if I want to, and I like that idea, actually. So yeah, I'm going to hold the time puzzle. And we're just going to Night March for the knockout. Okay. So we're in a pretty good position now, even though we are technically on the back foot in terms of prizes. What he's done here is he's actually promoted this Joltik, which means if I can double time puzzle for the Floatstone, I can actually get a Sky Return KO next turn, and that's fantastic. So that's what I'm planning to do. He's going to say VS Seeker. I think Xerasic. He might just get rid of our DCE then? Interesting decision for him to take the Xerasic before playing it. Oh, that's actually not a... Oh, okay. Because I thought he was going to Xerasic off the DCE because he knew we took teammates into hand. So that would kind of limit our option there. And he takes Acro Bike. Okay. Oh, wow, that's very good. Okay. I'm thinking we go double time puzzle for Backcom VS Seeker into Lysandre, but then we still need to find double colorless energy. So I may double time puzzle for Floatstone, double colorless energy, and go for the Sky Return knockout. And also play the teammates to find Lysandre. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I want to go here. Play 2. So I could teammates for like Lysandre and Catcher, or I could team. I think I want to take Double Colourless for sure. Yeah. Where is Floatstone gone? It probably was a misplay of me to put the Floatstone on the Shaymin in the first place, but whatever. So yeah, we grab this. Then we teammates for Lysandre and Catcher and hope the Catcher hits, trying to pick up a Shaymin, because if it does, we've done the exact right thing right here. Yeah. I actually quite like this. So even if Catcher is Tails, we still get a good option in the Sky Return knockout. So we're going to pick up Catcher and Lysandre. Is Lysandre the right call? Yeah, probably. I've got a pretty small deck and a Sycamore to work with here. It might be VS Seeker, actually, might be the better option. Continue to chain the teammates, but I think because we're behind on prizes, I think I would rather pick up Lysandre instead. Yeah, sure, it's a bit of a greedy teammates to take right there, but I'm going to go for it. Tails, what a shame. So we're going to Floatstone onto the Pumpkaboo. We have to have something else onto the bench, so we'll play this. And then I'm going to Shaymin to draw more cards. We get a Bent Spoon, which I don't think is going to help us out at all here. But hey, no point revealing it. So we're going to retreat into the Shaymin. And Sky Return for the knockout. I think I want to take Trainer's Mail off this. And we will go into Pumpkaboo. I probably should have played the Bent Spoon in case of an N. Situations like this, Xerasic would be super nice because I could have gotten rid of the Floatstone. And from there, it means he would have had to have promoted the Shaymin. So he'll go down to 2 prizes this turn. We can go down to 1 prize though, if we're able to kill this Shaymin with the Lysandre that I did take. Hopefully Trainer's Mail gets us into something cool. By something cool, I mean I'd like an Ultra Ball or something like that so that I could find another Pokemon from my bench and work from there. And N will be a little bit annoying here because we've got a pretty nice hand to work with. He cannot touch our Shaymins if they're in here. Of course, we've seen the new item card, Pokepuff, being revealed, so. And he's going to play teammates, which means this Shaymin is staying on the board, unless he's running his own catchers. The reason I promoted the Pumpkaboo there as opposed to the Joltik, again, because if I promote the Joltik, he again has the option to Sky Return for the kill. So we're kind of denying him as many options as he can. He's going to puzzle, single puzzle or double puzzle? Double puzzle for 2DZ, sure man. That's what you gotta do. And we're gonna see the Night March for the knockout. Oh, that's a fantastic top deck. A really fantastic top deck. I'm actually gonna Bent Spoon this guy too. I could hold the Trainer's Mail in case of an N. But yeah, I'm going to Lysandre up the Shaymin. This is what we want to do. Drop the Double Colourless on the Joltik. And we're going to Night March for the knockout. This is not playing around the N, I admit. Both of those are more useful. But if he had taken the Shaymin off his board that turn anyway, it would have been bad for us. So yeah, we're not playing around N, but we still have to do it like this. Gonna Fury Belt onto Joltik. And look at our hand though. I mean, we've so many options for next turn that if he doesn't end us, we should be good to go. We've now taken the prize lead. This is what I mean about it being so crucial to remove Shaymins from the board. Obviously, he wasn't really in a position where he could, but it's like I said about me taking that Sky Return for the knockout, really helped me out there, being able to AZ. And he's just going to Night March, which means we get the win if I can find Double Colourless energy, which I really should be able to. There's Ultra Ball. I think I'm going to Trainer's Mail before I Ultra Ball. I know there's like one left in here. I'm going to take VS Seeker because I can VS Seeker for teammates. Yep, there we go. And that is game. That was a Night March Mirror. I really love playing Night March Mirrors. At first I found them super frustrating, but you know, once you learn them and all the in-depth mechanics about them, it becomes a lot more fun, actually. You have to be very calculated about it. And he's just going to see, because he sees me, I have the teammates for the game. So there we go. That is Night March in action. I didn't really get show off the Vespiquen, but this isn't a matchup where you necessarily need the Vespiquen to be active. So anyway, guys, that is Night March. It is still one of the best decks in format, and I think it will continue to be. Given all this crazy cards that's coming out in Steam Siege, I can't see this being a bad pick for Worlds at all. Unless Karen's in there, of course, that changes everything. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.